So he asks, what does it mean to say all humans are equal? Consider the following dialogue between a defender and an opponent of equality. This is based on what Singer himself reports or imagines in his article. So, say the defender of equality simply asserts, all humans are equal. The opponent of equality, the kind of simple version of opposing the thesis of equality, is to say, no, they're not. Humans in some demographic groups, like men, whites, etc., are smarter or stronger or more capable than those in others. So it's just asserting that there are differences among humans that are tracked by demographic groups. Okay, so the defender differences of differences of quality as regards some skills. The defender then replies, well, maybe it's the case that there are groups where Qs are better at X than Ps, statistically speaking. Like you might be able to gather data about responses to test questions of some kind and show that men do better certain kinds of spatial perception than women do, or women do better at certain kinds of spatial perception than men do. You might be able to come up with those kinds of statistical generalizations. But there are going to be some individuals in any group who are better at X than some individuals in any other group. I mean, almost always, even if you can make some kind of generalization that, say, statistically, men do better on math questions than women do. Some women are much better at math than some men. So you can't really assert that the differences between people are always tracked by these demographic groups. So you basically, there's an argument that you shouldn't discriminate based on which groups people fall into, because the fact that someone's a woman doesn't tell you whether or not she can do math better than a man can. Okay. But Singer says that this reply is actually not really satisfactory. I mean, it's not going to ultimately work to defend equality. Because the opponent can reply in two ways, okay? For one thing, they can just double down on their emphasis on the statistical difference. So they can say, oh, I recognize the individual differences, yeah, but I'm saying statistically, and that's important, and that should guide our policy, blah, 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 okay? So they can say, okay, there may be exceptions, but since for the most part, statistically, men are better at math than women, maybe we ought to accept more men into math programs, maybe we ought to, give more math education to men. So they can make all kinds of follow-up arguments if they haven't accepted that people are equal in the sense in which Singer wants to defend that. They can make all kinds of follow-up arguments to say we need to set our policy in a way that respects these statistical differences. Okay, so the second reply that can be given from the opponent of equality is they can say, well, forget the groups then, okay? Forget I even mentioned the demographic groups. It's still not true that people are equal, because some individuals in any group are smarter or stronger or more capable than some individuals in other groups, okay? So the claim there is that, some individuals in any group are stronger or more capable than individuals in any group, okay? So it's just about individual differences. Now, what this opponent of equality is proposing is that we should treat people differently based on how competent they are. If they're smarter, we should treat them as smarter. We should maybe allow them to have 2 votes rather than 1 vote, because since they're smarter, then they may be able to make better decisions in society, and so on. So what they're recommending is different treatment based on the differences between people that are not differences in general categories like between races or sexes, but are differences between individuals. So Singer draws 2 main conclusions from this little dialogue. One conclusion is he asks us about this second reply from the opponent. Would a hierarchical society of the second sort really be so much better than one based on race or sex? I think not. So Singer's intuition here, his idea is that, giving people 2 votes giving 2 votes to people with an IQ above 140 and only 1 vote to people with an IQ below 140 is just as bad as giving, I say just as bad, I mean, is is bad, and in some sense just as bad, or it makes the same kind of mistake as giving white people 2 votes and black people 1 vote, or men 2 votes and women 1 vote. Okay. Now I wonder whether or not that's true. I mean, Singer says, is this hierarchical society of the second sort really so much better? I think not. I'm not sure. I mean, people do sometimes defend what they call meritocracies, and we do recognize different levels of authority that people have based on their demonstrated competences. So, for instance, doctors can perform operations because they have a certain role in society and they've demonstrated their competence to do that, whereas not everybody can, is competent to perform those operations. So, we don't. It's not legal for anybody to perform any operation, but it is legal for doctors to. So I'm not sure if Singer's entirely right about this, but his intuition that we still haven't recognized the important sense in which people are still equal, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's also, if you think about cases like voting, right? I think it is pretty clear we wouldn't want to allow the number of votes that somebody gets to be determined by their IQ scores. That seems like it's not appropriately recognizing everyone's equal right to have a say in the society. But I just wanted to suggest a little bit of critical thinking about Singer's first takeaway here. His second takeaway is that that the claim to equality, like what it means when we say all humans are equal, is not a claim about fact. It's not a claim that, like, we've done studies and found out that all people think the same way, or all people can solve math problems to the same extent, or whatever. It's not based on any claim about matters of fact like that. It's rather a moral ideal. And Singer has to say more about what he means by that. But it's something that we strive for, or it's something that we posit. It's something that we assert that is going to guide the way that we set policy. So if we say all humans are equal, that is going to motivate us to allow every human to have the same say in political decisions, like everybody gets 1 vote, for instance.